Did you know there is a $20 trick that can reset your engine and fix problems that mechanics charge hundreds to repair? 97% of drivers skip it, but today you will see exactly how it works. If you have ever been frustrated by engine issues or expensive repair bills, this video is for you. I will show you the 26 real engine reset secrets that mechanics hope you never discover and walk you step by step through what thousands of drivers have already done at home. Watch until the end to see how you can save big and make your engine run better than ever. Let's kick things off with trick number 26, understanding fuel trims and how your car's computer learns. Your engine computer is constantly making tiny adjustments to the fuel mixture. These adjustments are called fuel trims, and they can tell you exactly what's wrong with your engine. Short-term fuel trims change second by second. Long-term fuel trims are what the computer has learned over weeks and months of driving. When you see big positive numbers like plus 15 or plus 20, the computer is dumping in extra fuel because it thinks the engine is running too lean. This usually means you have a vacuum leak, dirty MAF sensor, or weak fuel pump. Big negative numbers mean the computer is pulling fuel out because the engine is getting too much. This points to leaking fuel injectors, bad oxygen sensors, or a stuck fuel pressure regulator. Here's why this matters so much. When you fix a problem like a vacuum leak or replace a faulty sensor, those old learned values are still stuck in the computer's memory. Your car keeps trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist anymore. That's when you need to reset the adaptive memory so the computer can start fresh. You can check fuel trims with any basic OBD2 scanner. Look for STFT and LTFT in the live data screen. Numbers between -10 and +10 are usually fine. Anything outside that range means you've got a problem that needs attention. The key is simple. Fix the actual mechanical problem first, then reset the computer's memory, then drive normally for a few days so it can relearn everything with your fixed parts. Don't just keep resetting and hoping the problem magically disappears. Now, let's move to trick number 25, engine flushing. Over time, your engine oil system gets so packed with sludge and varnish that regular oil changes aren't enough to keep things clean anymore. Most drivers freak out and head straight to the dealership, where they're handed a bill for $300 to $800 for a so-called complete engine cleaning. But here's what I want you to do instead. Most of the time, you're just dealing with basic buildup that can be dissolved with a $20 engine flush. This is as simple as adding a special solvent to your oil before a change, letting it break down the gunk, and then draining it out with the old oil. Now, here's the important part. If you've been skipping oil changes for years, don't rush out and do a flush. You could loosen big chunks that block oil passages. But if your engine's been reasonably maintained, a gentle flush can make it feel brand new. After a flush, watch your oil pressure closely for the next few days. Do another oil change sooner than normal, maybe at 1,000 miles, to make sure any loosened particles get removed. If you see metal flakes in your oil or hear new noises, stop driving immediately and get professional help. Now, moving to trick number 24, oil additives that actually make a difference. A lot of car owners try expensive treatments or get talked into pricey services, but see almost no improvement. Most people think this means their engine needs a major overhaul, and that's when the big repair bills start piling up. But often, it's just about using the right oil additive. The best ones have friction modifiers to help your engine run smoother, seal conditioners to stop tiny oil leaks, and detergents that keep things clean between oil changes. Lucas Oil Stabilizer is a favorite among high-mileage drivers for a reason. People notice real differences. For example, a Toyota Camry owner with noisy engine and a minor leak added Lucas for $18, and within days, the engine was quieter and the leak stopped. A professional diagnosis would have cost $150 just to find the problem. The trick is to pick additives that work with your oil, not against it. Modern oils already have their own additive packages, so don't just throw in anything you find on the shelf. Let's talk about trick number 23, replacing spark plugs. This is hands down the most overlooked performance upgrade you can make for under $50. Your spark plugs create the explosion that powers your engine. As they wear down, everything else starts to suffer. Most people wait until their engine is actually misfiring before thinking about spark plugs. That's like waiting until your windshield is completely covered in mud before using the wipers. As spark plugs age, the gap between spark plug electrodes widens and they get weaker. That means incomplete combustion, less power, worse gas mileage, and rough running. But put in a fresh set, especially iridium or platinum, and your engine gets strong, reliable sparks again. Suddenly, acceleration improves, gas mileage goes up, and cold starts are smoother. Now let's get into trick number 22. Throttle body cleaning. This is one of those fixes where you can actually feel the results as soon as you're done. The throttle body is like your engine's air gatekeeper. Over time, carbon and oil coat the inside, making the throttle body opening smaller and messing with airflow. That leads to rough idle, poor acceleration, and high idle speeds that just won't come down. Most drivers end up at the dealership, paying $150 to $300 for throttle body service. But you can do this yourself with a $15 can of throttle body cleaner and a few basic tools. But here's what most people don't realize. If you skip the relearn procedure after cleaning a modern electronic throttle body, you can actually make things worse. That means disconnecting the battery, cleaning the throttle body, then letting the computer relearn the correct position through a specific driving cycle. Let's move on to trick number 21, mass airflow sensor cleaning. This is a 5-minute job that can bring back lost power and fix weird performance issues for under $10. The mass airflow sensor tells your car's computer exactly how much air is coming in, so it can add the right amount of fuel. When it gets dirty, it starts sending the wrong info to the ECU, which leads to poor performance, rough idle, and check engine lights. Shops will charge you $100 to $200 just to diagnose a MAF sensor problem, and a replacement can run up to $400. But most of the time, it's just dirt on the sensor wire. Clean it with a $10 can of MAF cleaner, let it dry, and put it back in. Don't use anything else or you'll risk damaging it. Now, let's talk about trick number 20, fuel injector cleaning. This is where a lot of people make a costly mistake by picking the wrong method. Fuel injectors are responsible for spraying the perfect amount of fuel into your engine. Over time, deposits build up and mess with that fuel spray pattern of fuel injectors, causing rough idle, bad acceleration, worse gas mileage, and even misfires that can damage your catalytic converter. When this happens, people either ignore it or fork over $300 to $800 for professional injector service. But the truth is, most of these issues can be solved for under $20. There are two main ways to clean fuel injectors: pour-in treatments that you add to your gas tank, which are good for prevention, and direct cleaning kits that work much faster for existing problems. Pour-in treatments like Techron, Lucas Fuel Treatment, and Redline SI1 contain detergents that dissolve deposits over several tanks of treated fuel. This works well for minor deposits and regular maintenance. For seriously clogged injectors, professional ultrasonic cleaning uses high-frequency sound waves to break up stubborn deposits that chemical treatments can't handle. But not all injector cleaners are safe for every engine. Modern direct injection systems need cleaners that won't harm high-pressure fuel pumps and injectors, so always check your car's specs before you buy. But that is just the beginning. Let's jump into trick number 19, PCV system maintenance. And this one catches most drivers off guard because they have never even heard of it. The PCV system is your engine's way of getting rid of harmful vapors and burning them instead of letting them escape into the air. When it gets clogged with oil and carbon, pressure builds up inside your engine, forcing oil past seals and gaskets. Suddenly, you have oil leaks, rough idle, and poor performance. Most people see oil leaks and instantly think they need expensive seal replacements, sometimes costing hundreds or thousands. But often, the real culprit is a clogged PCV valve that costs less than $10 to replace. The valve usually sits on the valve cover, connected by a rubber hose. If you take it out and shake it, you should hear a rattle. No rattle means it is stuck and needs to go. Let's keep the momentum going with trick number 18, understanding oxygen sensor function. This trick can actually save you from replacing a catalytic converter, which can cost anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. Oxygen sensors monitor your exhaust and help the ECU adjust your fuel mixture. When they start failing, the ECU gets confused and may run the engine too rich or too lean. This can ruin your catalytic converter and start a domino effect of expensive repairs. Most people ignore the warning signs until the check engine light comes on. By that time, the damage may already be done. Oxygen sensors degrade slowly, so if you notice reduced fuel economy, sluggish acceleration, or rough idle, it could mean your sensors are getting lazy, even if they still seem to work. Now, moving to trick number 17, fuel filter replacement. This is a simple fix that solves acceleration problems mechanics often misdiagnose as fuel pump failure. Your fuel filter keeps dirt out of your injectors and engine. As it clogs, fuel flow drops, especially when you hit the gas hard or go uphill. It feels like your car is losing power or hesitating more every week. Shops love to blame the fuel pump and quote you $800 to $1,500 for a replacement, but a clogged fuel filter causes the exact same symptoms and costs under $30 to fix. In some modern cars, the fuel filter is built into the fuel pump assembly inside the tank, which makes it trickier but still way cheaper than replacing the whole pump. Let's keep rolling with trick number 16, air filter replacement. This one sounds basic, but the timing and type of air filter you use can change everything about how your engine runs and how long it lasts. The air filter keeps dirt and debris out of your engine. When it gets dirty, airflow drops, making your engine work harder and killing your gas mileage. What most people do not realize is that different filters work better for different driving styles. Paper filters block dirt well, but can choke the engine when dirty. Oiled cotton filters like K and N flow better, but need regular cleaning and oiling. Foam filters are great for dusty roads, but need to be swapped out more often. A Subaru WRX owner switched from a paper filter to a high-flow one and got better throttle response and a slight bump in fuel economy. The trade-off was more frequent cleaning. Professional air filter swaps run $50 to $100, but doing it yourself costs $10 to $30 and takes 5 minutes. Now, let's talk about trick number 15, carbon cleaning procedures. This one is huge if you have a modern direct injection engine. Direct injection sprays fuel straight into the combustion chamber, which boosts efficiency but leaves intake valves dry. Over time, carbon builds up on those valves, choking airflow and causing rough, idle, misfires, and power loss. Most fuel system cleaners will not touch this problem because they never reach the valves. Shops charge $800 to $1,500 for walnut shell blasting, but there are cheaper options. Chemical cleaning means removing the intake manifold and soaking the valves with solvent. It is more work than a bottle in the tank, but way less than a pro cleaning. A BMW 335i owner with a direct injection engine faced rough idle, misfires, and power loss from carbon buildup on the intake valves. The dealer wanted $1,200 for walnut blasting. Instead, they grabbed a can of CRC intake valve cleaner and seafoam for $60 total. They sprayed the cleaner into the throttle body, let it soak overnight, then restarted the engine. Thick white smoke poured out for a few minutes as the loosened carbon burned off. After 50 miles of driving, the rough idle disappeared, misfires cleared completely, and throttle response felt like new again. They saved over $1,000 and only spent a few hours. The secret? They caught it early. Once carbon gets severely baked on, you need the expensive professional service. Let's go even deeper with trick number 14, crankcase ventilation cleaning. This is a simple step that can stop oil consumption problems that get blamed on worn rings or valve seals. The crankcase ventilation system pulls blow-by gases from inside your engine and sends them back to be burned. If it gets clogged, pressure builds up and forces oil out past seals, making you think your engine is worn out. Most people assume oil burning means an expensive engine rebuild, but often, clogged ventilation passages are the real issue, and cleaning them costs less than $20. All you need to do is remove the hoses, clean out the PCV valve and oil separator, and clear any blockages in the valve cover or intake. Now, let's talk about trick number 13, ignition coil testing and replacement. This is where understanding how coils fail can save you hundreds or even thousands. Ignition coils take battery voltage and turn it into the high voltage spark your engine needs. When they start to fail, you get random misfires that are tough to pin down and can ruin other parts if ignored. Coil failure is sneaky. Sometimes they work when cold, but fail when hot. or only mess up under heavy load. That leads to shops swapping out parts blindly, racking up bills from $500 to $1,000. Visual inspection matters too. Look for cracks in the coil housing or carbon tracking marks where electricity is arcing outside the coil instead of going to the plug. But you can test coils by swapping them between cylinders and seeing if the misfire moves. Individual coils cost $50 to $150, and a pack runs $150 to $300. But finding the bad one yourself is free. The next one, trick number 12, is all about cooling system maintenance that goes way beyond just changing coolant. Your cooling system does more than keep your engine from overheating. It keeps the temperature just right for best performance and protects against corrosion. When any part of this system starts to slip, problems pile up fast. Most people just change coolant every few years and call it good. But thermostats, water pumps, radiators, and hoses all play a part. A small problem in one spot can trigger big failures somewhere else. The warning signs are usually subtle: a little less power, rougher idle, or worse fuel economy, long before you ever see the temperature gauge climb. Let's keep the momentum with trick number 11, belt and pulley system maintenance. This is the secret sauce behind so many weird engine problems that leave even mechanics scratching their heads. The serpentine belt runs everything from your alternator and power steering to your water pump and AC. If it starts slipping or a pulley goes bad, you get all sorts of symptoms at once. A slipping belt can mean dim headlights, heavy steering, weak AC, or overheating. The problem is that belt wear creeps up slowly, so by the time you hear squealing, other systems could already be suffering. A Chevrolet Tahoe owner had all these issues, and after spending months chasing electrical and AC problems, a quick belt check revealed a stretched belt. A $30 replacement fixed everything. Let's turn up the intensity with trick number 10, transmission fluid service that goes far beyond a simple drain and fill. Your automatic transmission relies on clean transmission fluid at the right level and transmission temperature to shift smoothly. When transmission fluid breaks down, you get harsh or delayed shifts and eventually internal wear that leads to expensive repairs. Most drivers wait until shifting gets rough before thinking about transmission service, but by then, damage may already be happening. The difference between a basic transmission fluid change and a full service is huge. A drain and fill only replaces part of the fluid, leaving old contaminated fluid behind. A complete transmission service swaps out all the fluid and includes a new transmission filter plus internal cleaning. For automatic transmissions, many experts favor pan drop and filter replacement over indiscriminate full system flushes because it's more controlled. CVT owners need to be even more careful, follow manufacturer-recommended intervals, and use the exact fluid type specified. No substitutions. Now moving to trick number 9, fuel rail pressure testing and cleaning. This is crucial for direct injection engines that run at extremely high pressures. When components in the fuel rail get dirty or the pressure regulator fails, you get rough, idle, weak acceleration, and power loss that can stump even experienced mechanics. Most fuel system cleaners are not strong enough for direct injection problems. These systems need specialized cleaning at high pressures. The symptoms often mimic carbon buildup or ignition issues, which leads to unnecessary parts swapping. An Audi A4 owner dealt with rough idle and power loss after replacing coils and cleaning the throttle body. Pressure testing revealed a contaminated high-pressure pump. Cleaning the fuel rail brought the engine back to life for $200, saving hundreds more on parts that were not the real problem. Alright, trick number 8, variable valve timing maintenance. Now most of you watching this probably don't even think about your VVT system until something goes wrong and you're staring at a 4-figure repair bill. But here's what you need to know. Variable valve timing systems use oil pressure to adjust when your valves open and close. When that oil gets dirty, the whole system goes haywire. Your hydraulic tensioners need clean oil to maintain proper tension. Skip those oil changes and you're asking for trouble. Here's how you know something's up. You'll hear a rattle on cold starts that goes away once oil pressure builds. Or you'll get cam crank correlation codes like P0016 or P0017 popping up on your scanner. These are your early warnings. The fix? Stay on top of your oil changes. Sounds simple, right? Because it is. Clean oil keeps those actuators working properly and prevents timing issues before they start. Now let's move to trick number 7, exhaust gas recirculation cleaning. The EGR system recirculates exhaust back into the engine to lower combustion temperatures and reduce NOx emissions. But here's the problem. Those recirculated gases carry soot and unburned hydrocarbons that build up in the EGR valve, cooler, and intake passages over time. When carbon clogs these pathways, you'll see rough idle, stalling, poor throttle response under load, reduced fuel economy, and misfires. You might get a P0401 code for insufficient EGR flow. EGR issues are tricky because they mimic ignition or fuel problems, and shops often replace other parts before checking the actual EGR system. The fix? Cleaning options range from simple removal and manual scraping with solvents for light deposits to ultrasonic baths for metal piping. Chemical soaking works for light to moderate buildup, but you need to be careful not to loosen debris that clogs downstream systems. For severe cases, walnut blasting the valve faces works well with proper containment. Here's the key. Don't just clean the EGR valve and call it done. Check the EGR cooler, intake manifold passages, and PCV system too. Let's keep going with trick number 6, intake manifold cleaning for port injection engines. Even in port injection systems, where fuel sprays into the intake ports, carbon still builds up on the manifold passages and valve stems over time. Oil vapors and blow-by create deposits that impair airflow and quietly rob your engine of power and efficiency. Unlike direct injection, this buildup is slower and symptoms are subtle. You might not notice until your car feels sluggish after years of driving. Carbon deposits lead to rough idling, hesitation, misfires, poor acceleration, and increased fuel consumption. For cleaning, you've got options. Chemical soaking with commercial intake cleaners works for lighter deposits. You can spray products like Seafoam or CRC intake cleaner into the manifold, let it dwell, sometimes overnight, then run the engine to burn off loosened residue. For stubborn buildup on direct injection engines, walnut blasting is the gold standard. Manual scrubbing with brass brushes and plastic scrapers works after removing parts, but you need to be careful not to scratch aluminum surfaces. Professional hot tanking and pressure washing offer deeper cleaning but cost more. Now, let's get to trick number 5, checking your engine timing. Your timing chain keeps your engine parts moving together perfectly. It makes sure the valves open and close at exactly the right time. Here's what car companies don't tell you. When they say lifetime chain, that doesn't mean it never needs attention. These chains wear out over time, and the parts that keep them tight slowly break down. Here's the real problem. Dirty oil makes everything worse. Your timing chain has parts called tensioners that need clean oil to work right. When you skip oil changes, you're basically killing your timing system bit by bit. The warning signs are pretty clear once you know them. When you start your car cold, you might hear a rattling noise from the front of the engine that goes away after a few seconds. Your check engine light might come on with codes P0016 or P0017, or you might see metal flakes in your oil. These are all signs something's wrong and you need to act fast. If the chain gets too loose, it can jump and your pistons can smash into your valves. That destroys your whole engine. When you need to fix it, it's a big job. You replace the chain, the guides that hold it in place, the tensioners, and the gears. Smart people also replace the water pump and seals while everything's apart. Why do the same work twice? The whole job usually costs thousands of dollars because it takes so much time to get everything apart. Moving along, trick number 4 is throttle position sensor relearn. Your throttle position sensor tells your car's computer exactly where your gas pedal is. This helps the computer know how much fuel and air to give the engine. Over time, the sensor can drift out of alignment. You might also knock it out of whack when you clean your throttle body or disconnect your battery. When this happens, your car feels weird. You'll notice sluggish acceleration, hesitation when you press the gas, jerky inputs, or unstable idling. Your car basically forgets where the gas pedal positions are supposed to be. The good news? Most cars let you reset this yourself without any tools. Different brands have different methods. Subaru owners do key-on cycles with controlled pedal presses. BMW owners hold the pedal down with the key on. Volkswagen people call their method the chicken dance, where you fully press the accelerator with the ignition on. Honda owners do both an idle relearn and a full throttle reset. Here's the basic process for most cars. Turn your key to on without starting the engine. Press the gas pedal all the way down, hold it for a few seconds, then release it slowly. Turn the key off, wait a minute, then start your car and let it idle for a few minutes. After that, Drive normally for a bit so the computer can relearn everything. Now let's turn to trick number 3, vacuum leak detection. Vacuum leaks are sneaky problems that let unmetered air into your intake, messing up the perfect fuel-air mix your engine needs. When this happens, you get rough idle, stalling, hesitation, increased fuel consumption, and lean condition codes on your scanner. The tricky part? These leaks can be intermittent and change with temperature. A hose might seal fine when cold, but crack open when hot. Common culprits include brittle vacuum hoses, cracked intake manifold gaskets, leaking throttle body seals, and faulty PCV plumbing. Here's how to find them. Start your engine and listen carefully for hissing sounds around the intake area. You can spray a little water or carburetor cleaner near suspected leak points while the engine idles. If the RPM changes when you spray, you found your leak. Another method is the smoke test. You can rent or buy a smoke machine that pumps smoke into your intake system. Any leaks will show up as smoke coming out. This works especially well for finding those hard-to-spot leaks. Now, let's turn to trick number 2, compression testing. This test tells you if your engine cylinders are sealing properly. Without good compression, your engine can't make power no matter what else you fix. Low compression causes weak acceleration, rough idle, hard starting, and poor fuel economy. The problem could be worn piston rings, scored cylinder walls, bad head gaskets, or burned valves. Before you spend thousands on repairs, you need to know which one it is. A basic compression test is simple. You remove all the spark plugs, screw a compression gauge into each cylinder, and crank the engine with the throttle wide open. Write down the pressure for each cylinder. They should all be pretty close to each other. One low cylinder means a problem in that cylinder. Two low cylinders next to each other usually means a bad head gasket between them. Here's the cool part. If you get a low reading, do a wet test. Squirt a little oil into that cylinder and test again. If the pressure shoots way up, your piston rings are worn. If it stays low, you've got valve problems or a head gasket leak. Now we've reached trick number 1, the battery disconnect reset. This can solve certain problems, but you need to understand when it actually helps and when it doesn't. Here's the truth. Your car's computer learns over time. It records fuel trims, idle settings, and throttle adaptations. Sometimes after you fix something, those old learned values cause problems because the computer is still compensating for something that's no longer broken. The battery disconnect clears this memory. But here's the critical part. It only helps after you've fixed the actual problem. It won't fix a dirty MAF sensor, vacuum leak, or bad spark plug. Those are mechanical problems that need mechanical fixes. Here's how to do it safely. Turn everything off. Remove the negative cable first, then positive. Keep them away from the battery. Wait at least 30 minutes. For a deeper reset, wait an hour. When reconnecting, put positive on first, negative last. This prevents dangerous sparks. Let your engine idle for 5 minutes with everything off. Then drive normally through different conditions so the computer can relearn. If you want the most complete reset, connect the cables together using a 10-ohm resistor while they are off the battery. This drains any lingering charge left in the system and clears out even stubborn memory. Never disconnect the battery while the engine is running. Doing so can create voltage spikes that might destroy sensitive electronics and cost you thousands in repairs. You have just learned how these 26 tricks give you a complete system to keep your engine powerful and healthy without spending a fortune. Use them to fix problems or simply keep your car running its best, putting you ahead of 97% of drivers. If you found this helpful, hit like. To learn how to make your car last 300,000 miles or more, watch my next video on the maintenance habits every driver needs. Click the screen now and I will see you there. Safe driving.